roll call.
Johnson.
Here.
Johnson here. Alexander.
Here.
Alexander here. Bellato.
Here.
Bellato here. Costas. Costas absent. Rita.
Here.
Rita here. Donahue.
Present.
Donahue here. Holly.
Here.
Holly.
No, he's not.
Holly
He's not.
absent. Farrenwald.
He's not here. I am here.
Farrenwald here.
Because I'm in this council.
Hill.
Here.
Hill here. Mack.
Here.
Mack here. Carr.
Here.
Carr here. Cantelo-Zylman. Cantelo-Zylman here. Slattery.
Here.
Slattery here. Clinker.
Here.
Clinker here. 12 present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Notice of call for a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Blue Island, Illinois. Notice pursuant to Section 30.03 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois, as well as Chapter 65 Illinois Compiled Statutes 3.1-40-25. A special meeting of the City Council of the City of Blue Island, Illinois is hereby called for Tuesday, July the 16th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at 2434 Vermont Street, Blue Island, Illinois. 60406 for potential action in relation to a resolution of the City of Blue Island, County of Cook, Illinois, adopting rules of order and procedure for the City Council pursuant to Chapter 65 Illinois Compiled Statutes 5/diagonal 3.1-40-15 of the Illinois Municipal Code, and Part B, an ordinance amending Title 3, Administration of Chapter 30, quotation, City Council General Provisions of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois, to establish and record rules of public comment and recording of public meetings. I'll go into, we need roll call, right?
You just have a motion to accept the notice of the call, as having been read into the record and been served on the members of the City Council that are present tonight.
Okay.
Somebody make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Donahue, second by Alderman Rita. Any questions? Go ahead, sir.
Question, but just a question about mannerism. If someone is out of order or
No, this is just to accept the notice of the call at this
Okay.
point in time,
Yes.
and the fact that the notice was served on the members of the City Council, 12 of which are present.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Do we need a roll call for the actual regular roll call, Mr. Clerk? All right.
You could indicate that there were all ayes with no
All
nays.
ayes with no nays were recorded.
Got it. Public comment? No public comment? Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
My name is Ronald Young. I live on Maple Avenue. I've spent the weekend going over my information I've been able to procure about the two items that you heard about tonight. One is for the limitation of the amount of time that a citizen may speak in the public comment section. It's my belief that setting a formal rule like this, I got about 2 pages of concerns with this resolution by itself. On the other one, I got about 17 notes of things that I feel violate the mayor council form of government. This thing is badly written. I don't care what town has them or what other towns in the south suburban area have them. They're having a meeting, annual meeting of the Illinois legislative group, the organization, in August downtown. Illinois Municipal League, I believe it's called. I suggest you suspend your action here and go down there and take some of their seminars and some of their workshops, because this is terrible destruction of the mayor council form of government, the way it's written. I can go into a lot of details, but let's go into what I feel the citizen comments section should be restricted to, or how it should be read. In my view is that each speaker shall be allotted up to 3 minutes to speak. If more time is required to complete comments, the speaker may appeal to the chairman, who may or may not grant the request based upon time constraints. That, to me, is the good democratic Republican form of allowing the little v to still prevail in elected government. at a city council or any public meeting. Also, you ignore the fact that some towns have sign-in sheets where if you want to speak before the city council, you sign in and you are called upon by the presiding officer or in a committee. And or in order, the way you signed in. That's not even in this thing. So there's a lot of vagaries in here. It's badly written in my view. And it, to my point of view, restricts public access and public awareness. On this thing, I got 17 things I have objections to, but I'm just going to highlight a few. I marked this up. It's astonishing to me that just starting out, there's a limitation on the number of times an alderman may speak to a question and how long an alderman may speak. I contacted the Attorney General's office, got a comment on it from an Attorney General representative who says that's a no-no. They would object to that and very strenuously. So you can't say that you can only speak to a issue one time in debate or discussion, and then you have to have the permission of a majority vote of the council in order to speak a second time. That does not sit well with me, and it doesn't sit well with the Attorney General of Illinois. I suggest you change the damn thing. Excuse me for this. I apologize for my frustrations. I've been up since Sunday, going around the clock, and Robert's Rules of Order is over 750 pages. And thanks to the public library, I think I covered just about every one of them this week. I used to be pretty good at it when it was 226 pages 50 years ago. So there are things in here that say committee chairs and committees will be appointed by the council. It's tradition in the mayor-council form of government to have the mayor appoint committee chairs and committees, and you can even have non-elected officials on committees, although they can't vote on issues or pass it up. This would restrict the ability of a mayor to perform his functions in appointing committees with the consent of council. There's a thing in there that says committee chairs are the only ones that are going to be allowed to report something out of committee, and nothing can be voted on unless the committee chair presents it. This is the kind of thing that's getting Alderman Burke finally in trouble in Chicago, where committee chairman in the city of Chicago, and I went to city of Chicago council meetings many, many years ago, and I saw this finally coming down after 40 years. The chair should allow, and the rule should allow, for minority report. You have several other things that are very wrong with this thing that suborn the efficiency of a well-established mayor-council governing system throughout the United States. It's badly written, in my view, and some things in here the Attorney General of Illinois doesn't agree with either. You got a bad thing here. It's going to isolate citizens. It's going to allow some pretty bad behaviors to happen in our town like they have happened in so many other towns. And I feel that you should reconsider this whole thing and sit down and write it in an open and honest way instead of writing it in this way. Somebody mentioned that this was the same form that they use in Lansing, Illinois. Quite honestly, I grew up in that area. I grew up in Calumet City. I have been to the Lansing council meetings. That's fine for them. What we need here is a new form of awareness, a better consideration of the needs of the community. A citizen should be able to go to the city, go to the clerk's office and have an item installed on the agenda for a coming meeting so that they can speak to a problem that's of concern and importance to the benefit of the community. That's not in here. They should have all committee reports submitted in writing. This is Ron Young's point of view now. And published and open to public inspection 5 days before the next city council meeting. That's not done. It's not in here. There should be more transparency. There should be more public access. The open meetings law says that you can give copies of public information out to people. You don't have to require a FOIA. What we do. I could go on and on and on and on here. There's a lot of needless boilerplate in here that's in the Robert's Rules of Order on the rank of motions, the rank of things. Last item I want to bring up is personal privilege and right of personal privilege. You got a thing in here that says, right of personal privilege shall be limited to defending yourself. And I'm paraphrasing it to keep it short. The right of personal privilege has many other values, or point of personal privilege, or point of privilege. And in many governing bodies, an alderman could ask for point of privilege to have a section of minutes, resolutions, or ordinances that are being considered read to increase their understanding of the thing. As a point of privilege. A point of personal privilege would be to be able to invite a person, not a member of the council, to speak before the council, or to add something for discussion, but not necessarily voting, at the council meeting, so that we start getting a handle of problems. Mayor should have the right to appoint non-elected officials to committees, even chairs if they so desire, with the approval of the council. Saying that the council will appoint all committee members is a violation of the mayor-council form of government, and I'll end at that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for public comment?
Good evening. My name is Carol DePace Green. We are dissatisfied. We, the taxpayers of Blue Island, are dissatisfied with the repeated patterns of actions not benefiting taxpayers. That include no bid contracts and a combination of activities that provide increasing evidence of the pattern of abuse of taxpayer funds saturating Blue Island's political landscape. It's important for Blue Island's elected to hear this is not okay. This is not tolerable and is completely unacceptable, resulting in current Open Meetings Act complaints. The Blue Island Independent Party, Restore Blue Island Party, delivered a 1-2 punch to the Blue Island taxpayers and voters through the hiring of a separate legal counsel for themselves at Blue Island taxpayer expense, followed by the gathering of an initial Judiciary Committee meeting with a prepared written ordinance for discussion, leaving most observers to wonder how did and how could this occur without telepathic, psychic, text, email, and verbal communication taking place outside of their initial Judiciary Committee meeting. Ordinance consideration, discussion, and debate appears limited in their proposed ordinance. This is certainly not what democracy or transparency looks like. If the committee wanted to be transparent, they would have brought the issue to their initial meeting, had a discussion, talked about, let's revise the rules for procedure. There was no discussion of that kind. That was not transparently done. It's not okay. What we do have is a notice of call signed by Nancy Rita, Rayanne, Cantelo-Zylman, and Johnny Ringo Hill. Investigators, ordinance consideration, discussion, and debate appears limited to their proposed procedure ordinance. This is, as I said, certainly not what democracy or transparency looks like. Investigators need to focus on and expand their investigation into how this apparent Open Meetings Act violation happened for a second consecutive time and the ways in which cronyism and corruption is expanding. There is no other community in the state of Illinois with legal representation at taxpayer expense for aldermen and trustees. I can't find another community that has voted itself a second law firm for representation. If there is one, please email me first, call me first, tell me first, or second. Let me know right away, because I can't find it, and I searched. What interventions need to be put in place, and what are the necessary deterrents to put a stop to these obvious repeated infractions and broken pledge at taxpayers that the taxpayers are enduring? A group of aldermen currently want the city council to change procedures, limit discussion, limit discourse, limit freedom. Current Blue Island aldermen do not engage in thoughtful discussion regarding any municipal issues. As ordinance and resolutions are introduced by committees, Blue Island taxpayers, voters, and the public will hear less and less about what is going on. It appears as though none of the aldermen contacted constituents, although several constituents showed up at the first and second committee meetings to express numerous concerns with the judiciary chair. And thank you for taking such good notes, Ms. Rita. Thank you. We must keep Blue Island city government transparent, open, and hold Blue Island elected officials accountable. Blue Island taxpayers will not benefit from any of these proposed changes. So, who will? Who is? And who does? Blue Island taxpayers want elected officials who possess the courage and a willingness to stand up for Blue Island taxpayers, serve, and represent us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? If not, we move on. Before us is a resolution of the City of Blue Island, County Cook of Illinois adopting rules of order and procedure for the City Council pursuant to Chapter 65 Illinois Compiled Statutes 5 Diagonal 3.1-40-15 of the Illinois Municipal Code. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Donahue. Any questions?
Yeah, just make one comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want the record to be perfectly clear that neither one of these items on the agenda were presented to our firm for comment or any other type of insertion of comments prior to tonight's meeting. We had nothing to do with their preparation or presentation this evening.
Thank you. So there's a motion second. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. We'll not try to spend a lot of time here. I think we know what the outcome's going to be. But there's a few things I did want to say and a few points I want to make before we move on or we act on this. My preference would be to actually table this back to the committee where I believe it belongs. But I know that won't happen, so I'm not going to waste our time on that. I want to make it clear that, despite the rather strong positions I'm taking on some things right now, I do not question the goodness or well-meaningness of anybody here. Most of you are friends of mine or acquaintances, and I know you all, and you all have chosen to serve on city council, which is a sacrifice. So I do recognize that. So I don't think that there's a evil intention here, but I do think that it seems to me that there's a corrosive influence. It was suggested in a friendly way after the last meeting that I've become too suspicious. And I don't know that I would call it suspicion, but I don't trust. And I don't trust for a number of reasons, but most specifically to what's going on here tonight. I don't trust the fact that a very significant change in how our city council is structured, our committee structure, was put forth, and the hiring of a new legal counsel was put forth on an emergency basis at a special meeting. I just don't see the cause for that. I don't believe it was handled properly. I think it should have been introduced into committees, handled through committees. That's how we do everything here. Why did we not do that this way? So that, I don't trust that. Similarly, with what we're considering here tonight, this was introduced into Judiciary Committee. It was expected that the committee would vote that night on a major document, changing or adopting new rules and procedures. That didn't happen because a lot of citizens showed up and had a lot of questions. And then we had to have a second meeting, and there were a lot more questions. And that was at the last meeting. And Alderman Hawley in particular, who's not here tonight, asked, I thought, some very good questions, did not have a lot of real good answers to them. I know that a number of his suggestions were adopted into what we're seeing tonight. And I will say that the document that we have here tonight is improved, and I do appreciate that fact. And Chairman Nancy, I do appreciate the work you've put into it. Nevertheless, it should be back in committee right now. There were a lot of changes. Committee needs to review them again to make sure that they were, all picked up, that they were correctly done, that there's consensus with the committee. But we're here tonight, we're going to vote it through. And so I just don't trust what's going on here. I don't understand why this is being rushed so much. It's not necessary. We have gotten along with our existing rules okay for quite a long time. We could take, a few more weeks, even a few more months to really do this thoroughly. I think Mr. Young made a number of points I heard tonight that I thought, yeah, well, those are good ideas. They haven't really surfaced because we've moved this along so quickly. And in particular, I do really still have a problem with the limit on time. I look at Alderman Klinker's last meeting. I think we respect him greatly. He was our fire chief, and he's got a real expert perspective, and he had genuine concerns, real genuine concerns, specific ones. And they took time. They took, in fact, 18 minutes for him to lay out, not 10 minutes. A few meetings ago, you'll recall, I had genuine, real concerns. It took me quite a long time to move those concerns out. I felt they were really important. I would not normally want to or care to take up that kind of time here. We all want to get out of here. So I would wish that maybe we could, not have that limit. As Mr. Young said, I also have a number of issues here with the document. I know what's going to happen here tonight, so I'm not going to make us spend a whole bunch of time going through it. But I don't trust what's going on, and so I will not vote for it.
So are you voting not to vote on it, or are you voting to table it, or what are you doing here?
Oh.
Oh.
I would move to table it. I would if you would entertain.
Motion to table, is there a second?
Is there a second to table? Alderman Johnson?
Table, there can be no discussion, so it just comes.
Fine.
Okay, roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Johnson.
Aye.
Johnson, aye. Alexander. To table.
Voting to table.
No.
Alexander, no. Bellato.
No.
Bellato, no. Rita.
No.
Rita, no. Donahue.
No.
Donahue, no. Farnwell.
Aye.
Farnwell, aye. Hill.
No.
Hill, no. Mack.
No.
Mack, no. Carr.
No.
Carr, no. Cantelo-Zylman.
No.
Cantelo-Zylman, no. Slattery.
No.
Slattery, no. Clinker.
No.
Clinker, no. 2 ayes and 10 noes, Your
Thank you
Honor.
very much. There is a motion, there is a second. The actual, on the question, roll call, please. First resolution.
This is to pass the first resolution.
Correct.
Johnson.
No.
Johnson, no. Alexander.
Aye.
Alexander, aye. Bellato.
Aye.
Bellato, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Donahue.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Farnwell.
No.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman.
Aye.
Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery. Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. 2 ayes and 10 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Next is an ordinance
Or
amending.
the other way, 10, I beg your pardon, 10 ayes and 2 noes.
All right. Second.
Correct.
Next is an ordinance amending Title III of Chapter 30 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois to establish and record rules for public comment and recording of public meetings. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Bellato, second by Alderman Rita. Any questions?
Just one.
Alderman Donahue, go ahead.
Just wanted to make a quick comment. I know Alderman Farnwell was working really hard in the Passage Judiciary Committee on this, and we ended up scrapping, and I'm using that term in the most respectful way, but I know you came to the meeting and you agreed that going with the CASA ordinance, which was proposed by CASA, the Citizen Action Group, was the best route, and I believe that's what we did. So the ordinance we're adopting was recommended by people who speak in public comment often, or members of the public who are concerned citizens. And that's, I just wanted to make clear to the rest of the aldermen and members of the public that are here that this is CASA's ordinance written by their attorneys that they were working with, that they proposed a couple times, and I'm recommending we all vote for it and support it. It's a good ordinance.
Go ahead.
And I actually agree with the Alderman. Mr. Young, just to clarify for you, this ordinance does not include any limit on time for speaking at public hearings. And you probably don't know that because it's difficult. It is a point you make. It's difficult for the public to get the most up-to-date copies of things that are circulating. It's been that way for a long time. I'm not saying that's new here, but it is. I think you probably have an out-of-date copy.
Did you say it does not include?
I believe it does not. Is that correct?
It does include a limit on time.
The
It does.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought that the CASA.
Speaker, this is the public comment.
Right. Yeah.
Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak.
Oh, it is. I'm so sorry. I am wrong.
I just wanted to make sure
Yes.
you understood that.
Yes. Okay. I do understand it now. My mistake. Thank you.
Any other comments? So now there's do we have,
Motion by Bellato, second by Rita,
okay.
to approve. Johnson.
No.
Johnson, no. Alexander.
Aye.
Alexander, aye. Bellato.
Aye.
Bellato, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Farnwell.
Because the time limit's in there, no.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye. Randy?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I didn't vote on it, did I?
Going cross-eyed looking through this here, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman. Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery. Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. 10 ayes and 2 noes, Your
Thank you
Honor.
very much. Next, we have a motion for adjournment. Do we have a motion?
I have a
by-
question.
Go ahead.
Mayor, do you plan to sign these ordinances, or are you gonna veto them, or?
Not making any response at this time.
Great, all right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Need a motion for adjournment? Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Bellato. All in favor?
Aye.